since the first moment we are gonna find each other in the center of the octagon. So yeah, it's gonna be a first round finish. I hurt him, he's not gonna have the chance to come back. Because my power is completely different than the other guys you mentioned before.
Ilia Topuria's brutal message has set the tone for what's expected to be a violent showdown. Meanwhile, Oliveira's retirement talk has left fans stunned, adding even more drama to an already high-stakes battle. Building on this intense atmosphere, Ilia Topuria turned up the heat in the pre-fight build-up, taking a pointed jab at Charles Oliveira and oozing confidence as he set the tone for what's to come. The undefeated contender made his intentions crystal clear, suggesting that Oliveira might want to pack a pillow, a bold statement that he's gunning for a knockout and plans to put the Brazilian star to sleep when they finally collide. Ilia took to X and wrote, "Don't forget to bring the pillow, Charles do Bronx." Furthermore, doubling down on his confidence, Topuria also issued a bold warning to Oliveira, making it clear that he sees himself as the superior fighter in every area, whether it's striking or grappling. Topuria didn't shy away from claiming that even on the ground, he's a level above the former champion. Confident in his all-around game, Topuria declared that if he chooses to go for a submission, he has the tools to make it happen.
To be honest, I feel that I have the advantage in the grappling game also. I feel and I know that I'm better than him even in the ground game. So we'll see how the fight will go, because if I have to submit him, I have all the abilities to do that also. So we'll see. I can knock him out, I can submit him, whatever. The only thing I know for sure is that I'm gonna knock him out in the first round or submit him in the first round, because he walks forward. I'm not gonna need to close the distance with him. Since the first moment we are gonna find each other in the center of the octagon. So yeah, it's gonna be a first round finish.
Further fueling anticipation, Topuria amped up the intensity, stating that when he catches Charles Oliveira, he'll make sure it's lights out. He added that he's stronger and more dangerous than any of Oliveira's previous opponents, and he's ready to prove it when they step inside the cage.
If I hurt him, he's not gonna have the chance to come back. Because my power is completely different than the other guys you mentioned before. I don't have anything against him personally. You know, the only thing is that we're gonna fight, so I'm not gonna be kind to him before the fight. After the fight, I'm gonna wish him all the best and fast recovery.
In response to Topuria's relentless trash talk, Oliveira appeared unfazed, brushing aside Topuria's verbal jabs with cold precision. The former lightweight king made it clear he's been here before. Countless challengers have tried to rattle him with words, only to falter when it was time to back them up inside the cage. Oliveira remains locked in, focused on letting his actions do the talking when the moment comes.
É muito foda que eu não gosto de ficar falando muito, que tudo que a gente fala, você tá ligado, né? Mas tudo burburinho, né? Mas eu acho que já passou a fase disso, né? São 15 anos dentro do UFC, né? Eu entrei um menino lá dentro, eu era só um moleque lá dentro, igual eu tudo que eu falei pesa, né? Eu sou só um menino no meio dos leões. Hoje eu me sinto um leão no meio dos leões, e um leão diferenciado, um leão embaçado. O último, o Charles desiste, eu fui lá e atropelei. O último, o Charles não tem mão, eu fui lá e nocauteei. O Charles não tem não sei o que lá, eu fui lá e fiz. Então eu acho que assim, é tão bagulho, são tantas coisas loucas que, tipo, se a ideia é essa de ficar falando, de ficar cogitando pra ver se vai me abalar, cara, tipo...
Echoing this mindset, the Brazilian powerhouse made it clear that he prefers to let his presence and skill speak for themselves. His eyes are fixed on delivering a statement inside the cage, proving that actions will always speak louder than words when the octagon door closes.
Pô, mas se você falasse, você ganhava muito mais dinheiro. Fazer o quê? Eu não sei fazer isso, eu não sei falar desse jeito, eu não sei vender a luta dessa forma, não é o meu jeito de vender, então deixa eu ganhar o dinheiro que eu tô ganhando, que é o único jeito que eu sei fazer dessa forma, tranquilo na minha. Na hora que fecha o queijo lá dentro, eu sei o que tem que fazer, que é andar pra frente, botar minhas mãos, e aí, no final de tudo, o que mais importa é o seu braço sendo levantado.
Eu não ligo muito porque as pessoas falam ali, na realidade essa é real, né? Eu sei que ele é um cara que ele pega duro, mas tá falando da categoria de pesos leves. categoria mais difícil. Eu lutei contra o Destigate e todo mundo falava que ele era o cara que batia mais duro e quando eu bati ele dobrou, então eu acredito no poder de fogo na mão que eu tenho, então vamos esperar, dia 28 a gente vai se encontrar.
28th, we'll see what's gonna happen.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I actually had one more question before we get into the VIP segment. So Gene Silva, he mentioned that he wanted to be a sparring partner for you for this fight against Ilia.
Adding further merit to his case, Ilia Topuria reminded fans that stepping into the lightweight division isn't new territory for him. He pointed to his previous bout against Jai Herbert, highlighting that he's already proven how he performs at 155 pounds. Topuria emphasized that Herbert was even taller than Charles Oliveira, and he still managed to knock him out, showing that size won't be a problem when he faces Oliveira.
I belong to this weight class since a long time ago, so I'm very happy that finally I'm fighting in this weight class and can't wait to shine once again in front of everyone. I already fought in the UFC in the lightweight division, and I felt really good. He was even taller than Charles, and I felt really good. I didn't feel any disadvantage with him because he was bigger or anything like that. Of course, they used to be a little bit taller, but I have my advantages also.
On the other side, Charles Oliveira made it clear that he has nothing left to prove, pointing to his achievements in the sport as proof of his legacy. But despite that, Oliveira confidently declared that he plans to knock Ilia Topuria out when they finally meet, sending a message that he's still hungry for big moments.
É uma grande luta. Ele é um grande lutador, mas eu não preciso provar mais nada pra ninguém de quem eu sou, o que eu já fiz dentro do cage. Essa outra chegou na oportunidade gigantesca, eu vou nocautear esse cara, essa é real.
But he's gonna knock this guy out.
Cara, na realidade, a gente já estamos lá dentro, vai fazer 15 anos, né? Eu já vi muitos desses caras que falaram muita coisa, que eu desisto, que eu vou perder, que vai me nocautear, que vai finalizar, e aí chega na hora e eles não fazem nada. Então, como eu falei, eu respeito todos eles, esse é mais um cara que eu respeito, mas do mesmo jeito que ele tem sonho, eu também tenho sonho, tenho promessas, então eu vou buscar isso aí o tempo inteiro.
Absolutely.
Adding an analytical angle, Lucas Tracy broke down the striking matchup, pointing out a clear gap in levels between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria. While Tracy acknowledged that Oliveira is solid on his feet, he emphasized that when you compare Oliveira's striking to the sharp, high-level boxing Topuria has been displaying, the difference feels massive.
That now has a lot of views. It's got like 130K views. But then I rewatched Topuria versus Max Holloway after rewatching Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan, and the level of boxing is just totally different. Not even when it comes to Topuria versus Tsarukyan, but also Max versus Tsarukyan. As good as Arman Tsarukyan is on the feet, and as good as Charles Oliveira is on the feet, when you compare the level of boxing and striking that those guys are showing, compared to the level of boxing and striking that Ilia and Max are showing, it honestly felt like I was comparing a bantamweight fight to a middleweight fight. And I know that Arman is pretty solid on the feet. I know Oliveira's pretty solid on the feet, but like, it's just different, brother. It's just totally different. Ilia Topuria's hand speed, his combos, even against Holloway. I'm watching Ilia versus Holloway.
Expanding on this breakdown, Tracy warned that if Oliveira chooses to engage in stand-up exchanges, he risks getting outclassed, even by Topuria's simple jab, as the undefeated contender's speed, crisp combinations, and precision could prove overwhelming.
If Oliveira goes out there and strikes with Ilia Topuria, I know that Topuria is a guy that has to heat up a little bit. He's not the earliest starter, but dude, he's getting outboxed by a simple jab, like just one shot and a jab, and a one strike and a kick. Topuria is overhand, and I'm impressed by Max. I'm like, I forgot how good Holloway was. Holloway didn't even look this good back in the day against Cater. Holloway was looking amazing in that fight. Some of the combos he was landing, the speed that he had, the 1-2s, I didn't see a single. I saw Oliveira land a 1-2 against Arman Tsarukyan. That was a good shot, but it's like, dude, the speed of even Holloway is mogging these lightweights. And you've got Topuria out there. It's just a totally different world of striking, man. I can't pick Oliveira in this fight.
Making his prediction crystal clear, Lucas Tracy didn't hold back, stating flat out that he can't pick Charles Oliveira in this matchup. In his view, Oliveira is headed for a knockout loss against Ilia Topuria when they finally meet inside the cage.
I know that Charles Oliveira is big. Everyone's talking about Ilia Topuria next to Raul Rosas and then Charles next to Raul Rosas. It's like, dude, Topuria is the same height as Arman Tsarukyan. This kind of speed with this kind of combination game, with this kind of power, Charles is going to get KO'd in this fight. That is my ultimate prediction, okay? Poirier's lighting him up.
Balancing the conversation, Luke Thomas weighed in with a measured take, pointing out that many people are underestimating Charles Oliveira going into this fight. Thomas reminded fans that Oliveira is as legit as they come, a former champion who may be older but is far from over the hill. While acknowledging that Oliveira has absorbed plenty of damage over the years, Thomas highlighted that he's also battle-tested and dangerous in every area of the fight. Whether it's standing, on the ground, in the clinch, on the guard, Oliveira remains a serious threat in all dimensions.
There's probably a little bit. Yeah, there's probably a little bit. I don't think it's a huge amount. But yeah, dude, Charles is legit, and he's a former champion. He's older, but I don't think over the hill. He has taken a lot of damage, but he's also really battle tested. He has offense in every single dimension: standing, back, ground, turtle, guard, you name it, clinch. He's got offense everywhere. He's a real threat to anybody.
Taking his analysis further, Luke noted that part of the reason people might be overestimating Topuria's chances is because the sport is hungry for its next big star. He pointed out that Topuria's overall momentum makes him the perfect candidate, as he's moving up in weight, has an entire nation in Spain rallying behind him, and his profile has skyrocketed, has an exciting fighting style, and his ability to cut promos in multiple languages, and it creates natural gravitational pull that could be causing fans and analysts alike to inflate his odds in this high-stakes clash.
I think the other part is, people are kind of desperate for a star to break out, and Topuria is one of the closest things that we have. He's moving up a weight class. The entirety of Spain seems to be behind him. His profile has exploded. He's got an exciting fighting style, speaks multiple languages to do promos and media. I think there's a natural gravitational pull that maybe to a degree overestimates their chances. That's not crazy to me. That being said, I probably would still favor Topuria, but I'm definitely gonna be watching that fight, with excitement, but nerves as well. It is known how to beat Oliveira, and it's been done several times.
Building on this, Bedtime MMA shared his final prediction after much thought, reluctantly siding with Ilia Topuria to come out on top. While openly admitting he'd like to see Charles Oliveira win, he explained that he just couldn't bring himself to pick Oliveira in this matchup. In his view, Topuria has the edge, though he emphasized that this is a tough, high-stakes clash for both fighters, a matchup where nothing will come easy for either man.
I'm gonna be picking Ilia Topuria, dude. I feel like I just picked Darth Vader to beat Luke Skywalker, dude. I can't believe in the Tame Impala edits. I can't pick Charles Oliveira via the power of friendship. I'm sorry, dude. I really, really want to. And a part of me thinks that Charles Oliveira is actually a very hard matchup for Ilia Topuria. A part of me thinks this is actually the hardest fight Ilia Topuria will have in the UFC. Just stylistically, based on the size, the skill set of Charles Oliveira, the power that he possesses, the way that he mixed up his wrestling in his last fight against Michael Chandler. If he fights like that, I feel like this is going to be a very difficult test for Ilia Topuria. There's nothing you can do, bro. So Charles Oliveira, as much as I think he's going to do well in this fight, I don't think he wins. I think he's going to get fucking slimed out, dude.
To shed light on Topuria's strengths, Bedtime MMA broke down what makes Ilia Topuria so dangerous, pointing out that while it might not jump out on paper or through statistics, Topuria's true threat lies in his fight IQ. He emphasized that Topuria makes high-level reads quickly often within just a round or two, and uses those adjustments to land the kind of shots that put top-tier fighters away.
You look at the guy, you look at Ilia Topuria, you know how dangerous he is as a striker. He doesn't show it statistically in terms of his accuracy, but this is a guy that makes very high level reads within 1 or 2 rounds and starts to land shots that are putting people away and knocking out great fighters like Volkanovski, like Holloway, like Ryan Hall. I mean, dude, who does that to Ryan Hall, man? You know, Ilia Topuria is just such a powerful puncher, and he makes such good reads that even though I think Charles Oliveira has improved his defense, and I do think he's going to win 1 round of this fight based on the grappling and based on his physicality, I do still think he's going to get cracked badly at some point because of his lack of defense.
Adding his thoughts, Paddy Pimblett highlighted that Ilia Topuria has a genuine chance of defeating Charles Oliveira, largely because of Oliveira's habit of taking big shots in fights. But Pimblett didn't count Charles out, pointing out that if Oliveira can drag the fight to the ground, his lethal submission skills could just as easily turn the tide and earn him the victory.
I think he might, to be honest. Charles is a bit chinny, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's had about 40 fights or something. He always gets punched. But that 10 pounds makes a big difference. And especially, like, Charles is like my height. Ilia's like down here when I stand up. You know what I mean? So it's gonna make a big difference. Like, Ilia might get a bit of a fright at how big Charles is when he stands opposite him. Fighters do that with me, who fight at lightweight.
In addition, Paddy Pimblett shared his thoughts on what could come next if Ilia Topuria gets the win, saying he's sure Topuria would want to settle their rivalry inside the octagon. Paddy believes the UFC would jump at the chance to make that fight, knowing it would be a massive moneymaker. And if it happens, Paddy made no secret of his confidence. Paddy's certain that if they meet, Paddy would be the one to come out on top.
Paddy winning the title, easy. Maybe even this year.
If Ilia wins and says he wants to fight me, the UFC will make that fight.
I think so.
Because they know it's a money fight. As Ben was saying, that's like one of them fights where they were well pressed to a lad like McGregor Aldo.
Offering a strategic view, Michael Chandler weighed in on the matchup, giving Ilia Topuria the clear edge when it comes to striking. Chandler praised Topuria's patience inside the cage, noting that if Ilia can stay upright and avoid Oliveira's takedowns, it could be a very good night for the undefeated contender.
And he's good in every area. However, Ilia's definitely got the edge in the striking department. And Ilia is very, very, very patient. Now, if he's able to not get taken down in big shots that he lands, the big punches that he lands, it's going to be a good night for Ilia.
Adding his voice to the conversation, Daniel Cormier highlighted Ilia Topuria's rising star power, saying the unbeaten contender has everything it takes to become one of the UFC's biggest names. Cormier pointed out that only a select few fighters have the kind of pull to headline an event in their home country and pack out an arena, and Topuria is one of them.
Especially watching the way people are responding and reacting to him, he has that ability to ascend to one of the biggest stars in the UFC. That's true. Very few people can bring a fight to a country and sell it out. Ilia is one of those guys. If they were to go to Spain, they could sell out the Bernabeu, which is crazy. That's a huge stadium where Real Madrid plays. I feel confident that if he was to fight there, he could sell that out. I think he's that type of star. And I think the reaction and reception that he's gotten since moving up has pointed to that. And honestly, I believe it's rooted in respect, because so many athletes, myself included, when you go up, you keep the belt. You want that security. You want that blanket of comfort to say, if it goes sideways, I still got my other belt. He said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just going up. I'm going to go and fight at 155. I'm staying there.
In addition, MMA Guru offered a more cautious perspective on Ilia Topuria's meteoric rise. He warned that if Topuria comes up short in this fight, his time at the top could be brief, while acknowledging Topuria's huge popularity in Spain and his early financial success. Guru pointed out that the real test will be whether Topuria can maintain the same level of hunger, focus, and discipline as the spotlight grows brighter.
Another 2-3. If he loses, he might think, well, I gotta do some more. Yeah, because he's such a name now in Spain, and he's a big followed guy. He got loads of views on JRE. But the thing about Ilia is, normally with him, the featherweight champion just became champ. He knocked out Volkanovski, knocked out Holloway back-to-back. Yep. You would think the next fight he'd be some minus 1,000 favorite. Yeah. But now he's got to be put into these 50-50s. He's forced it upon himself because he doesn't want to reset hunger.
Yeah.
He needs to maintain hunger because he's now made the millions. I think he was already quite well off anyway.
Yep.
He's quite a smart dude.
From a coach's perspective, Javier Mendez didn't mince words. He said he'd put $100,000 on Ilia Topuria to win. But in a twist, Mendez admitted that deep down, his heart would love to see Charles Oliveira pull it off. Breaking down his pick, Mendez zeroed in on what he sees as the key danger: Oliveira's tendency to get caught in tight exchanges.
It's basically because Charles is going to stand in there upright, like you're saying, and when he gets inside, he's going to use that boxing, and Charles' head's going to be up, and Ilia's got a really good way of connecting with that chin on the inside. Really, really nice, just like what he did with Volk. You know, and I think if Charles doesn't get him up the middle with knees or front kicks up the middle, he's going to have a hard time with his boxing against him, and he's going to have a hell of a time trying to take him down. So it's going to be one of those where Ilia's got more opportunities than Charles does. But Charles can surprise us with his length, you know, and up the middle would be really, really well suited for him. And the kicks too.
With bad blood brewing, high-stakes predictions flying, and legacy-defining consequences on the line, fans can expect nothing less than an unforgettable clash when the octagon door closes. If you're hyped for this showdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more fight breakdowns. Who do you think is walking out with the win, Oliveira or Topuria? Drop your predictions in the comment section below, and we will see you with more exciting updates in the next video.